Hi, Nick Biron at 360 Insights. In today's video, I want to talk directly to the vendor community. And I want to talk about kind of the importance of sales, but also the importance of really putting time and attention into business development and those first connections with a prospect. Now, to take a step back, as part of the process here at 360 Insights, we talk to a lot of salespeople. We actually talk to a lot of people within the organization. For example, we'll talk to product management, we'll talk to product marketing, we'll talk to executive leadership. And what I find is that the majority of the time, the most well-grounded people that we speak to that understand the industry, the products, the competitive landscape, their customers, their customer challenges, the customer successes are the salespeople. I am telling you that I would say 9 times out of 9, every time we talk to a salesperson, I am blown away at just how much information that they know. They, in my opinion, are an untapped wealth of knowledge from a marketing standpoint, product standpoint. More organizations should be talking to your top sales reps because they are just a wealth of knowledge. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. What I'm really here to talk about is the fact that what I find is a lot of organizations, the top sales reps, the best sales reps, they're typically protected by sales leadership and marketing. And what I mean by this is that they're typically the most expensive resource in the company in some cases. These sales reps are paid very, very well. They're very, very protective of their time. And as a result, they only want to talk to the best leads. They only want to get the best leads in the door, or they only want the best accounts to work with, meaning that the organization has to somehow find a way to get the early stage prospects to a sales rep without impeding that sales rep's ability. What I've been seeing is that there's a trend, and there's more than these two trends that I want to share today. There's absolutely more, but the two biggest ones I see is that a lot of organizations are looking at putting AI in the loop, whether it's on the website, putting it into the call center, in chat bots, and other ways that a prospect can come in and interact with your organization, ask questions, understand product, whatever it might be. But the other more predominant way, especially in sales, in software, is business development. What they do is they put a business development team in place, and these people are really geared at taking some of those early stage leads. And their goal is to take those early stage lead and turn them into a sales qualified lead to speak to those really valuable sales reps. Now, I won't talk about the AI because I've talked about this actually in one of my last videos where I personally think that a lot of organizations, they focus on creating human in the loop from an AI perspective, but it's really from a back-end management perspective. And there's some really huge problems that AI from a customer facing standpoint is broken and organizations are just making it too difficult to get to a live person. For this video, I really want to focus on business development. Now, the primary problem I see with business development, and this is not a blanket statement, but I would say a large majority of organizations, what they try to do is they try to hire business development as the first rung in the ladder in sales. It's kind of like your entry into sales. And the problem with that is typically these people that take up these roles are new into their career. So they don't have the understanding of elements of sales and I mean, sales is a whole science and art that there's a lot to get into, but they don't have that basic understanding. They also don't have an understanding of the industry that they're focusing on. What are the challenges that those organizations face with? What is a deep understanding of your software and tech, a deep understanding of their competitive landscape. They're very, very green. And the challenge is that the minute they get on the phone with someone that has any type of understanding of what's going on, it is very evident that they don't have an understanding that's remotely close to the level of the person that they're speaking with. There's a mismatch. And what that ends up happening is those buyers and those people typically recognize that they either get frustrated and move on, or the worst case, if they're just following up on leads, they never respond. They hang up the phone. They don't respond to emails. And the other thing that I also find is that a lot of organizations are trying to arm business development people with tools to help them be more effective. But the problem is it's trying to make them more effective by also making their language extremely generic. And at 360 Insights, we see a lot of this. I get a lot of emails because we've been put on sales lists, and the outreaches from these vendors are extremely generic. Nothing that would entice me to ever want to pick up the phone and call them. And worse is that sometimes there is what it looks like to be appearing of education in the mix, but really what I find is that they'll say that they know that we're using this type of software when actually it's pretty incorrect and we're not. Other cases, they might try to use language like, hey, I'm a new account rep. I'd like to learn more, which is weird because I don't have an account with you. So as I kind of drone on this, what I'm getting to is that typically those first people that are interacting with your prospects or clients are extremely uneducated. And on top of that, they're using tools that are actually making them, I would say, more ineffective because they're not doing any research. They're just trying to use the automation to get to the next lead, which is, I think, the disconnect. You have a product that does really great things. You have a marketing team that's marketing the hell out of your software in your solution. They're bringing in the leads, and the problem is you're losing those leads to giving them to the most unqualified individual in the organization. Now I get it. At the end of the day, those sales reps, they are a valuable asset. You don't want to give them every prospect that comes through the door. You want to get them the best of the best. But at the same time, you're doing your organization a disservice by ill equipping and ill training your business development staff. Now, I want to give two examples of my own career as a way to kind of, I would say, enlighten some of these organizations. Now, I'll admit, what I'm going to talk about, it's a lot of time and resources, but I think it creates a much better product at the end of the day. And what I mean by product, a business development person. So I've been in sales probably almost 30 years now. And I will tell you the best sales training I had and what got me into sales was with PC Connection. I went to PC Connection, really had a strong technical background, never even attempted sales. And what they did, and what I really liked about what they did, is they had about 2.5 to three months of intensive training before anyone ever got assigned a team and made it to their corporate sales team. That training was really dedicated towards understanding the current economic climate, understanding the typical organizations we work with, the challenges, the needs, the personas of those buyers, understanding the products, understanding the services, understanding the internal tools that are available to us, but then also getting us some live fire training by getting on their 800 number and just kind of sourcing calls and having and answering basic questions there. The whole goal was is before anyone actually was ever assigned a team and a set of accounts, that they were fully trained on all things to be in that position. And I almost forgot. One of the other things that they did is they actually trained us on very basic sales training. And it didn't matter whether someone was senior coming into the role or if they were junior. We all got the same training. And then they kept that training going on over time. Another one that I just look upon as great admiration, and I wish more organizations did it, is HubSpot. When I started at HubSpot, what they did is they put us through 2 months of intense classroom training. That training was a little bit less sales, excuse me, but more on the industry and the people that we were trying to talk to. Again, back then when I did that, internet marketing, inbound marketing was very new. So what they did is they trained us on all things marketing. The challenges of marketing today, the challenges of outbound marketing, direct mail. What are the advantages of having a website, social media presence? What are the best practices? Search engine optimization, and the list went on. Their goal was, and this was for anyone in the organization, not just sales, by the way, was that leaving that training, that we would be pretty much 90% smarter than the average person that is dealing with marketing within an organization. To me, those two organizations really thought about that. We wanted to get the best of the best individuals on the line with prospects and clients. And I will give you one other example is when I was at an organization called Aberdeen Group, that although the training was limited, They also wanted to make sure that no one was on the phone that was unqualified for being able to speak to a actual customer. So there, they made us go through a lot of training, understanding the product statements, understanding our value, being able to do presentations. I remember, I think it was every Wednesday, one or two people were selected to present to the entire team, and we would critique it. And there were times that someone would pass or fail, and if they failed, they would be pulled off the phone until they can get it right. So long-winded, but the goal is, at the end of the day, I think organizations should really think about who are they making the first in line to speak to a prospecting customer. Because I will tell you, you're wasting time, you're wasting money if you're just putting people, that are fresh out of college, 2 years into their career with limited training. These people should go through intense training before they ever pick up the phone, before they ever get a patch of accounts, before they ever get prospects and leads, because I will tell you, you are doing your organization a disservice and you're just going to miss out. Love to hear your experiences, whether you're on the sales side and, try to understand more about what your organization's doing, what you thought was best that worked really well, or what didn't work. And if you're on the buying side, we'd love to hear about your experiences. At 360 Insights, we're always talking to customers, and I'll hit upon one more point before I end the video. The importance of sales is that what I find is that when we talk to customers about why did you pick vendor A versus vendor B, a large majority of the time, it's sales. They were better prepared. They took the time to understand us. They understood the space. They were able to answer questions. They're responsive. They typically know these reps by names. They start to understand who they are, and sometimes they become friends with them. So sales is important. And at the end of the day, I'd love to hear kind of your experiences that you might have had with sales reps and organizations. And at the end of the day, hope this video is helpful and love to hear your experiences.